My name is actually John Pigford. I am an artist, designer, teacher, and musician, sort of all combined into one. I am currently assistant professor of visual communications at the University of Delaware. The reason I work with these materials are because they're what I find. They're what I get access to. I usually don't seek out materials. They bump into me. I find them through like salvaged computers that are on their way to recycling. I work with just things around my house. I like quantities of things. If I end up with a quantity of something, I'll usually get inspired to make something out of it. Materials usually come first, and then I usually work with something, explore it, experiment. Like I was saying, I apply a design process to find out, to sort of seek out a deeper relationship with that material. And then through that exploration, I will discover something, which is an attachment that I have, a relationship that I have to that material. And then I sort of explore that further and try to share that experience with other people. And so whether it's a computer hard drive, taking the cover off a computer hard drive just to see what it looks like and getting inspired by it and wanting to do lots of them, or if it's simple doorbells and the act of pressing a doorbell that we all do. Other work that's not a show deals with light switches, simple analog, simple digital switches. They're like on off, think about it. Clock radios, because they're one of the cheapest pieces of electronics you can find in a thrift store. So I usually get them for either free or $1 or $2, so therefore it's a material that I have access to. And well, the other piece that's in the show is bright type is simply inspired by typography, letter forms. I just love typography. I'm a graphic designer more than graphic at this point, but so typography as a expression of language and as a sort of embodied meaning into a symbol system that can then be affected by how it's experienced is what I'm interested in typography for. I like to think that people don't just look at the work, they experience the work. They hear it, they see it, they hopefully don't smell it unless it's burning. But mostly it's that sight and sound, it's that audio-visual, and there's a certain contract. Philosopher Michel Chion talked about the audio-vision contract you have with things, that it's more than the sum of its parts. And so I'm not trying to specifically transfer an idea or have sort of communicate a meaning with the work. It's more that the sort of meaning is created by the interpretation of the experience. And so I discover experiences with the materials that I enjoy for reasons that I can't specifically state. And usually it's things like playfulness, it's things like rhythm, it's things like how does that work? That's a great entryway into the pieces. And so those relationships between myself and the work are something that I try to broaden and sort of illustrate by making the work and finishing the work, producing the work, and then hopefully other people have those kind of relationships with the work too and take away their own interpretation from it. A lot of times I tell my students, do what you have to do so you can do what you want. It's really that simple. Don't expect to be able to do what you want and make a living at it. I don't. I could not make a living being an artist. I make a living as a teacher, so that I can do my art. So that I make a living as a teacher, so I can do music that I want to make, because we all have to sort of cover our bases in life. And so, my advice is really to do everything you can to get things out of your way. Do everything you can to reduce the things that limit your creative potential. A lot of those things can be parents. A lot of those things can be your family, your friends, your social groups. It can also be how you feel about yourself. It can be just the choices that you make in life, really examining the choices that you're making in life and saying, well, is this allowing me to be creative, or is this just telling me what to do and who to be? Because once you can get rid of all those sort of things that are telling you what to do, you start telling yourself what to do. and that's when you're starting to work in an art mentality and starting to make things that you would call art. And if you consider it art, then it is art.